showed earlier, that Light plays Zeri. He plays it well.
He plays it very, very well, and that's going to be locked and loaded. Very highly skilled champion, very high mobility, lots of opportunities there. And again, just super safe because of that Bruiser build. You pick up the Black Cleaver, you go to Titanic Hydra, massive amounts of damage, but also a lot of survivability. And with someone who is as short range as Zeri, that's exactly what you need. So we'll see what anyone's Legend want to do as a counter to that. They still have options with the Jinx and the Ophelio, so I imagine they're going to try and maybe pick up their jungle here and leave that AD carry maybe to the last few picks.
Yeah, I would definitely like if they would go towards a jungler, but no, going towards the support instead. We hit on one of the big things for this draft would be the mid-jungle combination. Anyone's Legend, I think going for Ryze in the first rotation as a takeaway from Doinb. Okay, you ban out the Twisted Fate, you take away the Ryze, and then at least in terms of early game proactive matchups, I think Ryze does decently well into what's left available in Doinb's pool. Now the question is if Doinb will go towards something maybe like an Orianna or a Victor, win out in the 1v1 laning phase, and just try to have a bigger impact later on.
Wait and see. The Gwen going to be locked in here now for Ala. Very much an Ala champion going in that top side. Solo carry, can get solo kills, and can even when put behind can take over a game. It is going to be the Jinx though locked in for Betty. I like this from anyone's Legend. I like that they're putting Betty onto something comfortable because again, like we said, it has been where most of the resources have been going in that bot side.
I think it also just very clearly, doubles down on that, because what you could have done here is pick a top lane counter pick because Jace is already banned. The other two really good Gwen matchups that come to mind are Jax and Kennen. It now opens up for LNG to try and ban out those two champions. Then you're looking at ZDZ and saying, hey, like what can you play in this matchup and do fine? There are some generic tanks available, and I feel like Anyone's Legend was one of the earlier teams willing to adopt tank tops. We've seen things like Ornn and Set. Obviously, Ala will win in laning phase then, but hey, actually, it doesn't matter at all, Sheen, because LNG aren't banning out those top lane counter picks.
No, they're going for the jungle picks instead. I will say that it is maybe just kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Of course, when you're on the red side and you're on the second ban phase, you get to ban whatever you want and also first pick. So if you ban away the Lee Sin and maybe even the Xin Zhao here, actually, never mind, Anyone's Legends are going to go for that themselves. I feel like you are just whittling down the jungle pool, and Anyone's Legend will get themselves the opportunity to counter or pick first. They have like an opportunity here to pick either or.
The thing is, now with Lee Sin and Xin Zhao both taken away, the pool of early game junglers that have been meta is extremely pinched. We do still have things like Volibear that we've been seeing coming back. Xiaohao hasn't picked that one up yet. Yeah, Hecarim, of course, making a big explosion onto the scene, but looks like Anyone's Legend now just going to pick top lane for the fact that we hit on, right? Both Kennen and Jax, the two champions that jump to mind when Gwen is left open, are still up. For AL, it's been a lot more about team fighting, so it seems right now they are hovering more towards that Kennen.
Are going to lock and load that Kennen. We've seen Kennen do some serious amount of damage in the LPL. One good slicing Maelstrom onto the backside, and especially against a team like with a Gwen and a Zeri who want to be a lot closer to you, this feels like a really good pickup. But they could just go straight for a Diana Yasuo here in the mid lane here for LNG.
Oh, and they go with the Irelia combo. That I was so surprised seeing the Diana locked in immediately without Renekton being left open, because Doinb not showing a ton of AD mid laners over the past few splits. Irelia was one of his best, so that was another pick along with the Lee Sin that he was picking a lot last season.
Locked and loaded. Yeah, we saw some fantastic clips. Very difficult to get on top of the Irelia. Has received a couple of nerfs since then, of course, so not as horrendously overpowered that it used to be back in 2021. But now with the Hecarim locked and loaded, a lot of good engage here for Anyone's Legend. They're picking up a very, very solid and simple front-to-back team fight, whereas LNG also kind of going for that all-in jump on your face. And there's going to be a lot of 5v5ing if my estimations are correct.
Yes, 100% right. Both teams want to run into each other. I will say for LNG, they do have a bit more options because they should have control in terms of side laning later on with the Gwen and the Irelia. But it's going to be about getting prio on those sides and grouping up as a 5-man unit, trying to engage on the back line. For Anyone's Legend, you nailed it. Front-to-back team fighting. The thing I'm curious about is, will ZDZ look for flanks and try and get on top of Light? Or with the fact that he knows Tarzan, Doinb, Ala are all going to be jumping onto their back line, if you just play kind of as like a zoning Kennen, like you stand next to your AD carry, if they dive on top of you, you pop the Slicing Maelstrom, try and get the stun off, and allow for Betty to pop off.
But we'll have to wait and see. As I said, more options available to LNG, but Anyone's Legend, they are pretty decent at catching people out, overextensions, and like we said earlier, Ala and LvMao not exactly not exactly unknown to those particular faults in their team. We'll see how this game one goes, but a lot of eyes going to be kept onto that mid lane. How can Doinb get out? And more importantly, how can Forge keep him there? That's how we're going to have to see where this matchup goes. But teams are locked and loaded. Players are ready, and we're going to jump into game one of this best of 3. Can LNG keep the win streak alive, or would anyone's legend be getting themselves an important win towards those playoffs? You don't have to be more than average, you just have to be slightly below it in terms of the LPL. Top 10 teams make it into the postseason, and all you need is a chance to jump straight in now to Summoner's Rift. The first thing I'm going to ask you is, will we be seeing much early game shenanigans?
I want to side with yes, because I definitely think we should, especially coming out from the side of AL. Because when you look at mid lane especially, right, Irelia is the type of champion who, to win trades, you need to give it to the all-in. You need to stack up your passive Ionian Fervor. You want to get that Conqueror stacked up, so you're consistently looking to get on top of the enemy with your Q. So it should open up potential windows for Xiaohao to find ganks in mid lane before Tarzan and Doinb hit that level 6 point, where they are a formidable combination.
Well, nothing really untoward. We'll wait and see how they want to go. Phase rushes for the Hecarim and the Ryze. So the two on there. A lot of conquerors on the other side there for the side of LNG. We are going to see the Ghost for Allah. Pretty common to see that one there. He goes a little trip, gets a little bit of damage down, trades it back, so nothing too untoward. But I am loving this adaptation as well we're seeing from the support side, or sorry, the AD carry side of things. We see light on Zeri, and we mentioned how short range this carry is with the exhaust. When you go for those extended trades or those 1v1s, it is great to have that extra summoner spell that is just a little bit more effective in those trades against something like a heal. So, and even a cleanse as well from Betty. So Betty will not want to be left alone, basically, as we can see ZDZ and Allah basically trading sides there. ZDZ recognizes he is not really in a position to fight this this Gwen, as very few people are.
Yeah, definitely not at the level 1 mark, right? ZDZ wanting to keep his distance, get the poke off. It is interesting, he did go towards the Electrocute rather than the Airy. Airy is a bit more common when you're running into this matchup, but he will have more all-in burst potential going with the Electrocute, especially if his goal is going to be trying to get on top of Light in later team fights. For now, though, it looks like LNG will have early lane pressure in both top and bot lane. But as we highlighted for AL, I feel like a big focus for you in the early game is going to be mid. Heck, even in regards to the other lanes, right? ZDZ picked up a call first. Like, this guy is not looking for action.
No, he's not. I'm just going to let you know that every time you say heck, I smile, so.
No.
I love how I mentioned that about that the other day, and you were just like, no, it didn't happen. You literally just said it. You literally just said it about 30 seconds ago. It's because Doinb getting forced out by Forge here, and yes, this range versus melee matchup does go in favor of the Ryze, but I wouldn't say this heavily.
No, definitely Doinb going in an opportune time, trying not to fall too far behind in terms of CS, which he's not, right? In melee versus range matchups, it's all about trading health for... I'm going to pause. All about trading health for, you know, either opportunities to push the wave or opportunities to find trades. So was able to do that. Does not have any pots left up, though, so Forge does have a resource advantage, and they're already looking for a gank.
I mean, there's no flash, remember, on Allah, so he's going to be in a lot of trouble should he get knocked backwards here. He's not even going to be able to push forward. Auto attack is good. First blood to anyone's legend. Exactly the kind of start we want to see from them. As we're going to stop myself as Forge gets jumped on here by Tarzan. Did use the crescent dash to try and get himself a little bit of extra damage. We can now go back towards the bot side. His action all over the place as Betty has to use his cleanse. They drop down the exhaust onto Light to try and stop QiuQiu from getting taken down too much, but LNG still not getting a kill back, which means anyone's legends still have the advantage in that department.
And LNG still have combat summoner left up, right? Light still having the exhaust ready and available just in case any more fighting it did come through. That's one thing we can expect from both these supports, right? LvMao and QiuQiu are both extremely aggressive, always looking for an opportunity to go in. And we see LNG squarely in control of the bottom lane, which this is where we thought they would struggle. I thought AL's bot lane has looked more solid in terms of the 2v2. They put more pressure in terms of junglers as well, as Xiaohao already going to look for the gank.
Oh, LvMao, he's going to have to flash over the wall. Can he get over? Yes, he can. Just about, and we did get the flash out of Light as well, so anyone's legend not being deterred by the early skirmishing and getting themselves back in the advantage.
Really nice coming out from Xiaohao, and this sets up for such an easy repeat gank to come off. As Hecarim, you can even look for things like lane ganks when your Ghost is up, just so you aren't spotted out by any wards. Forge, one level away from 6, so we'll have that Realm Warp available. So for the side of Anyone's Legend, I expect them to look more towards that bottom lane rather than 4 repeat ganks up in top side. Though Xiaohao is pathing up there now because that's where his camps are respawning. So if Ala is still pushed out, maybe gank towards the top lane, get your reset off, and just try and hammer home on bot once again.
I will say, we did mention the call for ZDZ early on. There's like no real early action. We were just lied to because Xiaohao has come out swinging. And I want to quickly touch on why we've seen such a resurgence in this Hecarim. Why do you think we're seeing such a powerful return for this jungler, and especially when we have the likes of Lee Sin and Xin Zhao getting banned away? I'm going to stop myself very quickly as Doinb does find himself in a flawless duet situation, as Xiaohao did pop himself the Q. They will back away. But yeah, the Hecarim, why are we seeing so much more of it?
I've really enjoyed seeing it in the meta, especially just because we have so many long-range like poke compositions coming through. We've highlighted a lot of games these priority junglers are banned away. I believe it was against EDG the other day in like one of LvMao's wins, where it's like, hey, you're just all kite, you're all poke. Getting a jungler that has guaranteed access to the backline is quite nice. This game that doesn't really apply because LNG are just going to be running into you anyway, but still the priority junglers were taken away.
Quite to see what Anyone's Legend can keep doing with it. We are going to see Doinb has got the ultimate available should he want to go all in. Just kind of teetering with the idea for the moment. Doesn't fully commit. Xiaohao there in the backside. Tarzan as well off to the right. So both these junglers recognize where they need to be. And again, Doinb walking around trying to see maybe if there's an overextension here from ZDZ, who again hasn't really gone back yet, has gotten over 56 stacks of his coal and is just starting to get his recall off now.
Yeah, but Anyone's Legend posturing for the gank bot. A bit sad they do back off from it. ZDZ has TP up. Obviously, though, it is an unleash, so actually he can only teleport to his own tower. Would be worthless.
Baits me every time.
It does. It does. I still forget all the time.
I'm so used to it. It's like, oh, teleport advantage. It's like, but pre 14 minutes. No, never mind.
You can tell Anyone's Legend really want to try and zone LNG off this wave, though. Even Forge has just been hovering in this river the whole time, which has made it so LvMao and Light do have to play back. I expect for LNG to put a bit more focus up towards the top half of the map. Right now, though, they are posturing around Dragon. Looks like Anyone's Legend should get it for free.
Yeah, and again, this is just good pressure, like you just mentioned there, onto the bot side. They also have pressure in the mid. Got Xiaohao into the enemy jungle. Check to see if there's any camps. Recognize, okay, these are all down. I know that Diana's not going to be here. Take the dragon, get level 6, back off, repeat basically where you want to go from here. So I haven't seen a repeat gank in bot side, and the flashes from LvMao and Light will be up in about a minute and a half's time. So I still would love to see Xiaohao look to try and focus there with now that he has the onslaught of shadows and maybe get this Jinx rolling a little bit faster.
Yeah, you will have a bit of an opportunity. Forge resetting right now, getting tier 2 boots. Come back to lane, answer that wave, and make your way down. Especially with Xiaohao, his camps are coming from top side, so he can, do his red buff and just path straight down to bot and look to punish. He might not get an opportunity, though, because Tarzan's looking here first.
Tarzan is roaming down. Just kind of seeing, I think Tarzan's recognizing Xiaohao might just try and double down on this bot side, so he's covering in case they do. Of course, they want to try and get the reset, and now does get the reset off as ZDZ just gets a little bit of a trade in top side.
I also think AL read that pretty well, because we saw Xiao start pathing towards his red, instantly pivoted heading into his bot side jungle. The second nothing happened in that bottom lane, though, Xiao did just go back up to farming his top side camp. So really nice recognition coming out from the AL bot lane. But now Rift Herald's up. Machine, does that mean we're going to get a fight? We're going to get some more blood?
I don't know. We are seeing both bot lanes resetting and getting themselves right back onto the map. The Rift Herald has been started here, but it might be stopped now in a second as we can see Xiaohao and Forge running at Tarzan, who might be in a little bit of trouble. We can see Xiaohao already backing away as Light is there. Forge in a little bit of trouble, is caught between a rock and a hard place. We are going to see the needlework come out from Ala, and it looks like LNG will have done enough, but can they get out unscathed? All 5 people are there. It's a good hook to start it off, but Chocho, no one's there with you. Now you've got the follow-up. He flashes away to keep himself safe as Doinb has been locked up. You will get the Rift Herald, but will you lose any more? No, they do not take the Realm Warp, so it's a 1-0 trade, but Rift Herald still goes over to LNG.
I'm just happy that AL were able to find and engage and were able to capitalize. We didn't see their bot lane get punished, but even at the start of that Rift Herald fight, LNG's bot lane has no flashes. Like, I want to see Anyone's Legend looking for these aggressive engages. They were getting zoned off by Ala, who was doing a pretty good job, and Chocho's like, hey, it doesn't matter if my teammates aren't here. We need to get something going.
Oh, well, getting something going. Betty didn't use his flash, but has got his cleanse, so cleanses out of the solar flare. You'll take that trade any day of the week as LNG. Now you know there's one less summoner to worry about in this bot side.
One less summoners. We get a replay. QiuQiu hooking right onto Tarzan. Instantly, though, they do turn over to Doinb because Tarzan does commit the flash to getting out. Now Doinb trapped between multiple members, was locked down by numerous CC. I believe he got stunned by both Kennen and rooted by Forge. He had nowhere to go.
And a great engagement for QiuQiu. I will say I was a little bit worried for him there because he went in as the Nautilus. He has got the Glacial Augment, not the Aftershock, so not as tanky as he would perceive to be. So just about got away.
Respect on QiuQiu's name. Look, QiuQiu is in the list of Lyric's Dream LPL team. So.
Oh yeah. What is Lyric's Dream LPL team? We got some time. Dragging that up for a minute 40. So go on, tell me what Lyric's Dream LPL team is.
I'm just saying, if anyone ever hits me up in the LPL to be a coach and I get full roster control, don't be surprised if it's 369. Haro comes back, Mo re-debuts. We get Y4 in the bot side along with QiuQiu.
That is a name I have not heard in quite a long time. But
that's a winning team.
That is a pretty good team, I will say now. Speaking of winning teams, Tarzan walking down into the boss side is going to be hovered here by Xiaohao. They have full knowledge of this. I don't think Xiaohao has been spotted. Forge now gets spotted on top of the scuttle as they try and maybe make something work, but LNG recognize they're probably outnumbered if they're feeling this aggressive, and anyone's legend will not gain anything else. But it is still about a 14, it's not actually, it's a 1600 gold lead in favor of anyone's legend, and we've still yet to see any real proactive play from this Rift Herald, and the Rift Herald is only worth, on base value, if you get it off just the charge, about 320 gold, so it's only worth the kill you trade.
I think a big thing for LNG is the fact that Forge does have prio in regards to pushing waves, so Doinb isn't allowed to roam as freely in the early game, which means we're not getting the same amount of pressure coming out from the mid-jungle 2v2. It's definitely a lot more skirmish or team fight centric. We do have Dragon coming up in about 25 seconds, so if LNG want to opt into looking for that team fight, that's where we're really going to be looking for them to pop off.
All right, we talked about in the early stages, I'm going to stop myself very quickly there, 10 seconds thing, but again, containing Doinb, making sure he can't get out onto the map. So far, so good for anyone's legend. They are going to try and maybe contest this second Drake. TP is not available for ZDZ, and we're not quite at the 14-minute mark either, so doesn't have it unleashed just yet. QiuQiu walks over a ward, but ZDZ is now walking himself down. He will be here well before Allah will be, and this could be a 5v4, so you can see now LNG recognize this. They back themselves up. It's going to be very difficult for them to actually contest this. I think they have to give it up.
Yeah, I think they should even look to contest. You can see Allah is committed to pushing in that wave in top side. You can try and get a plate onto your Gwen and just play for that gold, because in regards to scaling, right, your team composition does do very well in the late game. Zeri scales phenomenally. Your mid-jungle combo will be able to just burst Betty if he is able to get onto that backline. And no, Gwen also becomes a monster. So I think taking the early gold trade is fine as LNG. They just got to be careful of getting forced into a fight on soul point.
Yeah, you got to be very, very careful. They will get the Rift Herald charge off, but just about. So that's only 320 gold going to Tarzan. Like I said, it's the trade of the kill, basically in favor of the kill that you traded back for it. So we now see Allah going in for a full engage now, just outside of turret range. Very nicely done. We'll get the slicing maelstrom out of ZDZ, who does have the TP, but we're already starting to see this Gwen start to do Gwen things, Lyric.
And he's probably sitting on like a fair bit of gold ready to back. Might even be on it. Probably is on his mythic already. ZDZ still has a bit of gold above him, just in regards to how well he has been doing in that laning phase. Surprised we don't see any turrets closer to being taken. We have seen some action, but we haven't seen like the full committal to those bot lane ganks that we expected to come from anyone's legend. They've tried many times, but always some nice vision by LNG to spot it out before it can happen.
Yeah, and I gotta ask you the question. In terms of the early game, we talked about what we wanted to see from anyone's legend. You're now grading their exam paper for this early stages. How do you think they've done coming up against LNG so far this game?
You know, on a grade scale from...
We're going with Japanese, like, you know, DDR grading, so like SSR or something like that, being like the top tier. I'm gonna squeeze the weebness out of you for like, cause I literally get you one more time this season, and that's the only time we cast together.
Listen,
and even this one was impromptu. It wasn't even supposed to happen.
That is true. I'm sorry, people out there. You were supposed to have Ox today. I am the substitute teacher, but let's be real. When you were in school, maybe you like the substitute teacher more.
Yeah, but you didn't learn anything. I learned a lot more from Ox.
Exactly. You don't learn anything.
There we go. There we go. But yes, talking about Anyone's Legend coming into the first 15 minutes, they are going to look into the Rift Herald. It is LNG who are going to be here first. But again, you've got some pretty decent starts here for the side of Anyone's Legend. They've already got their bot lane here. They can TP up with the Ryze who was pushing a bot side. Here we go. LvMao goes in. A little bit solo for the moment as Xiaohao plays away from him. And they've already killed off the support. There's the Vanguard Jet, but a 3-man knockup from the Nautilus ult keeps everyone from following up. Again, LNG try and look for something, but they just can't contest Anyone's Legend.
Yeah, now.
DDZ
So
finds him.
around.
He's dead. There's nowhere for him to go. No flash, nothing to do. 0 and 4. Rift Herald as well. LNG, they're looking a bit desperate already.
Yeah, LNG, I mean, you can understand what they're going for, right? Forge was still pushing in bot side. He's having to keep in. They want to find the engage, but no. Ale gets so much from that play. They denied one-wave bot. They get 2 kills, and they pick up the Rift Herald. So I'm going to go straight into the replay. We see they want to look for it. They don't fully commit, though, because Xiaohao is off to the side, zoning them away. Is one of the rough things about playing this melee dive composition into a bunch of beefy frontline tanks and a lot of good zone control abilities. Ala still wanting to poke his head around for vision. Was not the play, not the call, not the sauce. It was nothing.
No, it was
Except
nothing.
death.
Well, we might see something here as, oh no! LvMao needs to be so careful. Here comes Forge now off the Realm Orb. He's a little bit by himself. They will get the onslaught of shadows down onto Doinb. As you can see now, Jojo, it's all over the place. You get 3-man Moonfall coming in, but the resets are good though, and Forge gets himself out. Doinb trying to turn this one back, but the stopwatches are there. Light now needs to flash away, and oh my god, Lyric is a disaster. What are LNG doing?
What? Anyone's Legend are 7-0 up against LNG. I really don't know. We said, hey, Anyone's Legend have a chance, but they're just outperforming LNG so far in these team fights. We can see they have a lot more to work with. Betty left completely untouched. Rift Herald dropped in mid lane. You're gonna pick yourselves up the first turret of the game.
And
Well, first turret of Anyone's Legends game.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say their first turret, but again, look at the kill distribution. It's on Xiaohao, Forge, Betty, the guys that we highlighted. And look at this replay. This is LvMao going way too deep.
Yeah, but this was so unfortunate. Gets popped over by the blast plant. Has to flash out immediately. They turn their attention towards Forge. You don't get a ton of value out of that Hecarim ultimate. But the big thing to me is Betty's just left untouched on the opposite side. Sure, he gets pulled in by the Diana ultimate, immediately flashes away, so no follow-up from Doinb able to come through. And then Light the whole time, only able to hit frontline. So the Jinx finding a ton of value in that early skirmish.
And already we're looking at the Infernal Soul point here for Anyone's Legend. They will have TP available for ZDZ. Again, Ala does not. So Ala cannot stop this Kennen and cannot do anything about it. Here we go. The TP going to be coming in. It's going to be a 5v4 whether you like it or not, LNG. They'll get a lot of poke damage down on LvMao. No flash, nowhere to go. ZDZ is rewarded with a kill. And they're going to be on Soul point. LNG, they're just all over the place. Anyone's Legend, we talked about how good they are at capitalizing on mistakes. And they are just punishing LNG.
And one thing about LNG's team composition, when you're playing these very like melee heavy, must dive on the enemy comps, they're very much feast or famine because they can only do one thing. They can only go in. They can try to play out through sides and buy some time. The problem is now it's ult point. So now you have to contest and you have to fight them, you know, in 4 minutes time. So I think the game only gets progressively harder, not only because of the gold lead, but even just how the draft has shaken up. And Anyone's Legend feeling great. Betty's gonna have people running into him. Forge is gonna be getting tankier as well. Like ZDZ, you really don't have a great way of getting onto Betty, and there's no other good choice of who to dedicate all your damage onto.
And once Betty gets that rapid fire cannon, which I assume he is going to go for, because like you said, you should recognize there's an awful lot of, you know, people who want to just jump on top of his face, then that just becomes infinitely harder for the side of LNG. They're gonna need a very big play, and that means we gotta look towards Doinb, we gotta look towards Tarzan. These two people, these two mid-jungle combination that we talked about being possibly the best in the league. Right now, they just haven't been able to link up whatsoever, and it's been honestly top marks for Anyone's Legend. They've just been so good so far this game.
And we can already see them now, right? Send Forge to the side lane, try and draw some members of LNG there. LNG try to find the pick on top side. Doinb doesn't even get popped over the wall. ZDZ still might go down, but...
I mean, but he's wasting time. You can see all 4 members now up here. They're going to pop down the Slicing Maelstrom to get a lot of damage onto LvMao. Finally get their first kill, but now LvMao, he's probably going to be sacrificed here as a way to try and get the top lane. And you can see Forge jump straight back on top of Doinb, or sorry, Tarzan, and he goes down. Now Betty's joined. You invested so much to make this one pick, and you're not going to be able to do it. And now it's a party right on top of Doinb as he tries to see if he can catch somebody out. The flawless duet will only buy him enough time. But with Allah here, they need to be very, very careful. The needlework can do a lot, but that fear is fantastic. They have got themselves a shroud as Betty gets jumped on, but the exhaust is good as Doinb finally goes down. Not before he takes down the Jinx with him as Allah does then she fall. It's an ace in favor of anyone's legend. They won't be able to take the Baron, but my God, LNG, they're looking like they're trying to go for desperation plays already.
But no, Ashin, that was a massive win for LNG because before they had no kills, now they have 2. The score line looks a bit better, but like you said, you can definitely tell LNG feel the pressure at this point, right? Like they know they need to find something. Even if they do just try and farm out the next 5 minutes to get their carries big, they will struggle, which is why after LNG find the initial pick, AL just commit to the collapse on top of them. It looked like once Gwen got here, maybe Allah would be able to do something. Okay, you're 2 big soul laners trying to pop off in this fight, but AL able to keep them at bay. I think a lot of it goes down to what we're seeing here, a lot of crowd control on both of them, and then bam! That exhaust, very clutch to allow Betty to survive just a little bit longer, confirm the 1 kill on the Doinb, and then anyone's legend can easily finish off the Gwen.
I mean, honestly, yeah, this is why I shouldn't make calls about analytical nature. 2 kills is better than 0. You are 100% correct on that front, my friend. But 2 minutes now until the dragon spawns. We will have pretty much full summoners available for the side of anyone's legends. It should be pretty much the same on the side of LNG, and that's where we expect this game to go. So now, how do you want to see both these teams play this? Do you want to see more of those opportunistic, harsh plays coming out from the side of LNG, or do you want to see them maybe take it slow and look for that big wombo?
I think for LNG, it's really rough, right? You can try and commit to whichever side lane is pushing out aggressively. So in this scenario, it would be Forge, but Forge this time opted not to do it, knowing that LNG would be looking for those picks. And if AL don't give those opportunities, I mean, you're just waiting for the fight. AL are the ones who get to play aggressively. We see Forge having so much pressure in that side lane since he's 6-0 and 6. So you can just consistently push that one out, hover over towards spot side. They're getting vision down. And for them, it's simple. I mean, they get soul in 60 seconds.
I gotta give a quick shout out to Xiaohao. 3-0 and 10, 100% kill participation. He has been absolutely crucial for anyone's legends throughout this game so far, and really has stepped up. And a demonic embrace just being picked up here by Allah on the Gwen. I'm not exactly sure if that's the one I would have gone for right now, but obviously recognizing that he needs to be maybe a little bit tankier, as we can now see Betty putting in the damage. They flash over the wall. They want to try and take down Doinb as he's just completely isolated from his team, and he's finally taken down. No, you've got no more mid laner here for LNG. Now you also have no more support, but look at Light. He's getting those resets. He's getting themselves stacked up. They will be able to take down the Gwen, though, and ZDZ with the Slicing Maelstrom is just too damn good. They will get the wipe. They will get the Dragon Soul, and they will get the Baron. Anyone's legend have all but won this game.
Yeah, anyone's legend completely clapping LNG. Man, LNG just looking so disconnected. And in these team fights, which is what we highlighted, is what AL love to play for. It's all about the 5v5s. It's all about Chocho looking for the aggressive plays. They do it. They find the kills. I mean, they're on Soul. You know, this one's not even like, okay, maybe it's a matter of time. No. This game is done and dusted. AL would truly need to show us the best throw in the history of League of Legends to lose this game, which sounds pretty entertaining, so I'm not necessarily against seeing it.
Yeah, just want to make it known, we're not against LNG bringing this one back, but when we talk about percentage plays, it's very low on the L percentages right there, and it's just again and again we're seeing anyone's legend just unafraid to push forward, and this kind of harks back to why we had so many questions about LNG. Are they a top roster? We talked about, you know, the top teams we expect to see in the LPL, especially in the finals. LNG wasn't really in that conversation. This is kind of why.
Yeah, LNG have still been a team I've been a bit apprehensive of embracing as a team. I expect to, be a contender for the title. Like, they're definitely a top team, right? They should at least be looking at top 4 in playoffs or something along those lines. But they have still looked pretty sloppy in a lot of their series. We're seeing it here once again. If both of our undefeated teams lose in the same week, that is amazing. This one would definitely be more impressive than Weibo's win, in my opinion, since Weibo was already looking pretty solid. Anyone's Legend, sure, they're on a win streak, but it's against other bottom-tier teams.
Yeah, you look at the win streak they had. Again, we said there's a chance, but you look at who they've played in their last few matches. It hasn't really been the creme de la creme, shall we say. They beat Ultra Prime, they beat RA.
Lost
that
to
was
TT.
I was just about to say that was just after they lost to TT, and these are the things as well that we got to talk about when we bring up this team. But slowly but surely, they're finding their feet. They're finding their meta, and they're finding what's comfortable for them. They'll now have the split push in the top side, and this feels like it's going to be a slow move. I love this as well. They're just waiting, giving time for mid lane to push in so they can sync up the waves. This is the signs of a decent team.
Yeah, and they're just going to be able to keep going. LNG, I mean, they're just going to have to commit to engage, right, and hope for the best. They're going to have to hope that they can get on top of Betty.
Exactly what you talked about. They're trying to go for it, but there's just too much defense. Doinb trying all he can, but it shall be for naught as a slicing maelstrom keeps Betty alive. They will get the Nautilus as a consolation prize, but there's only so much Light and Allah can do. Light trying to run away, force the flash over, but Xiaohao is hunting. He doesn't want to lose this game just yet, so he's not going to overcommit to it, but again and again, we're seeing Anyone's Legend answer to what is being put in front of them. And Forge, unafraid, pushing forward. The base has been broken. Anyone's Legend will back away, but it's only a matter of time, Lyric.
Yes, we have said that many times now because, there's not too many ways to rephrase that specific phrase, and it's looking more doomed by the minute. I won't say second, as we see here. I mean, LNG have to go for something. LvMao trying his best to get on top of Betty. Throws out the E, I believe he missed, and then flashed his in to try and get the stun. But this is also what we're hitting on with Kennen. I really like Kennen against dive compositions because you get so much value out of the Slicing Maelstrom. When you know that they have to jump into you, you can try and get, a 3 or 4-man stun onto the enemy carries.
Let's talk about the next game. I really feel like we do need to start talking about it just very little bit. What? Go on.
Let's talk about the fact that AL's journey is kind of like you, Sheen. It's very
kind of like
gangster.
me.
Kind of like very gangster. And when I think
okay, go on. I'm curious. You had my curiosity. Now you have my attention. Okay.
When I think of gangsters, right? You start off, we'll go with like Italian Mafia New York or something. You start off on the streets, you're selling your newspapers, you're swindling some people out of money, you're making your way up, you were getting beat at first, you were getting beaten down, you're rising the ranks, you become a capo. That's where AL right now. They're a capo, they're a made man, but they're not the Mafia boss yet. But if they take down LNG, they're the Mafia boss, they're the Don.
They're making a move to take over the Don, to take over the territory, the business, if you will. Well, we'll see. We'll see if Anyone's Legend can do an Usheen on it, apparently. As we now get them pushing down towards this bot side. They will not have super minions just yet, so it's going to be another wave or so before that happens. A minute 50 until Elder, a minute 45 until Baron. You would imagine it'll be the Elder they were trying to force out, but Doinb goes straight in already. He's got the Sterix Gate, but already taken down so low, flashing away, and yes, he gains a little bit, but with the Rift... Oh, Subakutan Rocket from downtown! Betty finds the kill, and with the Realm Morph, they bring the minions into the mid lane. They're going to be able to take this inhibitor as well. Anyone's Legend, without any shadow of a doubt, have come into this game one and slapped LNG back into their place. Force flashes forward. They're going to try and look for the last few kills. Slicing Maelstrom, the Zeri has died. There's nowhere else for you to go. Allah will pick up a consolation prize of taking away the perfect KDA there from Forge, but it's all done. Anyone's Legend in 29 minutes will absolutely dismantle LNG in game one.
Yeah, Anyone's Legend just coming out in spades. If anyone asks you, if anyone comes in and joins chat, and they're like, who won that game? Just say it was a stomp. Because this match being a stomp isn't a surprise. The surprise is that Anyone's Legend is the one doing the stomping. Great performance coming out from Xiaohao. He was a player who I was really impressed with in 2021 summer. I believe he was probably the slowest starter on this roster coming into the split. He was not having nearly as much impact as what we saw before, because before he was one of those, he was a straight killer. He was looking for fights and kills anywhere he can go. This game on the Hecarim, though, He was. And, you know, maybe he's been trying to rein it back, but we don't want to see that. We want to see this game. We're like, you know, maybe he's not going to gank top. You have Kennen versus Gwen, Cull, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I'm ganking top. Immediately backs, goes to bot. He ganks bot. He's constantly hovering bot, constantly looking for these plays. And he's set up for people like Forge and for Betty to have these massive pop-offs.
I mean, honestly, for anyone's legend, if they can take the 2-0 over LNG today, again, it's still only one step. They need to take another one in order to come out with the series on top. But they would go from anyone's legends to absolute legends. I'm going to take away that one from Ox, as he told me the other day. So, again, this is just such a massive monument. We can't really quantify how big of an upset this would be. And for LNG, they've got a lot to fix in that one, because it wasn't just one thing they got wrong. It was kind of across the board. No one really clicking with what they wanted to try and do.
Yeah, like whenever you look at drafts like this, I feel like that's why it's not more common anymore. Is why it's just like so hard to execute, especially into meta champions, in my opinion. Like having to dive into the Ryzes, the Kennens, we saw the Hecarims. It's almost impossible. And LNG were trying early, and they weren't able to get to the backline, so they were having to commit their full combos and their damage to the Nautilus, to the Hecarim, and we saw it just wasn't enough to be able to take these guys out. And they are very, I'd say, combo reliant. Like, you're going to get out your one rotation of spells, and if you can delete someone, you're going to win. If not, the opposite side just has more DPS coming out from the Jinx and the Ryze. And once LNG's comp falls behind, it only gets harder, since you pretty much have to keep your foot on the gas pedal. Would have been nice had we see them maybe try to pivot to like playing with sides a little bit earlier, before the gold lead got a little too insurmountable. Yeah,
again, we saw them go for that pickup in ZDZ and topside, but it was a little too late. And again, at that point, they were already against the sole point. They'd Dragon stacked against them. They only got the 1 or 2 plates from the Rift Herald play, which, you know, a lot of our in my opinion, the better teams will end up getting not only just plates, but also a turret, maybe even another push into a tier 2. If you don't react to it, then they can probably get a tier 2 as well in that side lane. So again, little things not really working out for LNG. But again, all props to anyone's legend. They have come out swinging, and ever since the end of Lunar New Year, they've looked really, really solid. Again, like we said, is there a chance after this performance? Yes, if they can come out with a win today, there's more than a chance, but we'll see what they're able to do in Game 2. There's still plenty of League of Legends to